Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the world's most watched professional wrestling news program, the Pro Wrestling Report. Damian Nelson sitting alongside the man they call Meathead. Frank Cosentino not available, out on assignment today. However, we will have to consult with him later on an issue of immediate consequence. Be that as it may, Meathead, this is our first episode of 2008. How was your holiday season?
It was great. I've got a new nickname for you. Are you ready? We're calling you Ron Burgundy.
I don't understand that so much, but anyways,
Ron Burgundy?
Welcome all of you for joining us here on the Pro Wrestling Report. Again, it is the world's most watched professional wrestling news program. Meathead, you're coming off the heels of that huge interview last week with Chris Jericho. Y2J on the Pro Wrestling Report.
You know what's amazing is a couple things, and people on the forum, again, blowing it up. You know, I know that grinds some people's gears, but people on the forum blowing it up to the point where they said, one, Meathead, that's not a bad interview. Two, how did you handle not marking out in front of the guy and letting him know? It was tough. I'm telling you, that was the toughest thing I ever did because I was talking to my favorite wrestler.
And if you haven't checked that out yet, folks, you can check it out here at pwrshow.com. For those of you watching us on television in Milwaukee, you can hop on over to pwrshow.com as you can see that exclusive interview only on pwrshow.com. Be that as it may, Meathead, an amazing amount of news this week, and we're going to get right into it. A couple of new signings by WWE and a departure from TNA. Ron the Truth Killings has allegedly signed a contract with WWE. For those of you who don't recall, Ron Killings left TNA quite a while ago. He was dealing with that situation with Adam Pac-Man Jones in a program with him, won the tag straps. Be that as it may, gone from TNA was Ron Killings. He was in WWE before. Remember,
Get Rowdy.
Exactly.
What? Get Rowdy.
In 2001, then going over to TNA when it launched in just around 2002. He is telling people about the signings. Apparently gave some very detailed information to some people at an independent wrestling show. I don't see how that would have made any sense for him to do at the time, and the numbers just don't seem to make any sense. So that's why there's a question mark behind this whole thing. We do know, however, Meathead, that there were a couple of people, including MVP, lobbying for Ron Killings to be signed with WWE in the locker room.
And, you know, a lot of people forget that MVP actually did a stint in TNA. I forget his gimmick name, but Montel Vontavious Porter was in TNA for a good stretch.
Was he the highest paid performer in TNA history?
No.
Oh, because he is the highest paid in SmackDown history.
In SmackDown history, which is the B show.
Impact. Is this going to make any substantial... Well, how to bring him in? Is it K-Quick 2008 or is it Ron Killings?
No, it's Ron the Truth Killings. I mean, because TNA doesn't do what WWE does, and TNA isn't going to tell him that he can't be the Truth. He's going to be Ron Killings, or could it be Kid Quick, which he was before he jumped into WWE to start.
Well, what was the Truth? I mean, I really never became a fan of his persona in TNA. Obviously, an amazing amount of in-ring capabilities, but we've just never has that gimmick been there.
The only thing that I don't ever want him to do is that thing he does.
Just because you can't do it?
No, I've got soul.
It's rhythm.
I've got soul. I've got soul, which gives rhythm. Which one of us are? Go.
WWE has three options: Raw, SmackDown, or ECW. Where do you see Ron Killings if coming to WWE?
It doesn't make a difference because all the brands
I simply asked you a question. Then it wasn't your New Year's resolution to be less of an obnoxious ass?
No, that was your New Year's revolution, according to the forum, to see if I could do that. I resolve in
to answer the question: Raw, SmackDown, or ECW?
I resolve
TikTok.
In 2000.
Lots of show.
I resolve in 2008 to tell the truth, only the truth, and so far, Ron the Truth Killings will be in WWE on SmackDown.
Smacky wacky, huh?
You like the way I wove
Let me tell you about
together?
watching SmackDown last Friday. Actually, we're taping this Saturday morning. This will be on the site and available Saturday afternoon. I like that. Same day broadcast.
Unfortunately, you should be watching the Green Bay Packers taking on the Seattle Seahawks, but that's another
Which
thing.
is why we had to... Frank is not here. Frank's at the game. Let's go with that. Can we pretend? Anyways, staying on task. Watching SmackDown last night. I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I got to watch SmackDown. And I'm like, what? Why? Literally, that word popped into my head. Why?
3 weeks for me.
JBL being gone.
3 weeks for me. I have deleted it without watching it.
See, at least I watch it, folks. It was a great opportunity, though. I actually scripted while watching. It was good. JBL being gone, I have no reason to watch SmackDown now. It's a sad state.
I'm not saying that JBL was the reason I watched SmackDown, but what are they doing?
I will say the Chavo, Rey Mysterio, Vicky, Teddy Long, Edge situation is compelling. But beyond that, the Jamie Noble, Chuck Palumbo thing is interesting. But, yeah, that's about it. But anyways, the next big signing or departure, if you will, is Chris Harris, the Wildcat, who has been visibly disgruntled on TNA programming as part of an angle, is gone from TNA, and TNA releasing a statement to that effect. The rumors have been wild over the last week or so that he is signed with WWE. We have no confirmation of that at this time. What we do know for a fact is Chris Harris no longer with TNA. Meathead, what makes this so dynamic is indeed the television persona and the bashing of the company that Harris was allowed to do on TNA programming as part of an angle before
it's wild. And what's really odd is the whole feast or fired gimmick that they had going on. They fired Christopher Daniels, but when it was said that Senshi was supposed to be the person that had given his notice, we continually see this guy on TV as well.
But we'll talk about that in a little while.
Chris Harris, you visually see him saying how much he hates the company, how much he hates what he's got going on. A little, crossing of the lines, a little blurring of the lines, if you will.
Wow. Chris Harris, WWE, the Wildcat. Your thoughts?
Yeah.
Really?
Chris Harris, to me, has always had the look. As America's Most Wanted was a tag team, that team had the look. Cowboy James Storm has the look I think that a professional wrestler should have. Chris Harris can, in my opinion, get over as a singles wrestler. He's going to need some sort of gimmicky storyline to kind of bring him in to start with. Chris Harris can get over.
With that being said, we've got news on the next WWE film. The next WWE film project is going to start filming next month.
Get your hate ready.
Exactly, folks, because their most successful genre featured the star, most successful film venture featured the star of their next film, which begins filming in New Orleans, Louisiana, on February 25th.
So it's an underwater film.
The French Quarter, not touched, unscathed. You know, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie are living in New Orleans, Louisiana, right now.
Who cares?
Great city. Well, great French Quarter. Outside the French Quarter is pretty disgusting.
I heard that once you leave the whole French Quarter area, if you go around the corner through the alley, you can get robbed.
Robbed, raped,
pillaged,
whatever else.
Plundered.
Can certainly happen. End up on
Shawshank.
Or,
you ever been to Shawshank?
No. Filming starts February 25th in New Orleans, Louisiana, and it will be released September 5th, 2008. Now, neither of us have seen The Marine. I just have not been able to muster up the energy to watch it.
I don't have the time to waste.
But the premise of that film, I thought, was something about a girl that had gotten kidnapped, and this Marine was coming back to say, blah, 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 blah. Well, the premise of this movie, which is directed by Dan Kung, who also directed Die Hard 2, it's been on TV like every other...
Die Hard 2 is okay. It had Fred Thompson, who's going to be your next president.
Oh!
Gotcha.
Elizabeth! There's absolutely no chance, but be that as it may.
No, there's not, but that was a shot. That was a shot.
Also directed Nightmare on Elm Street 4, so really not too
4 was a good one.
4 was the Dream Child, wasn't it?
No, 5 was Dream Child. 4 was 3 was Dream Warriors. 4 was Dream something, but 4 was a good one. Had a good soundtrack.
And the girlfriend has been kidnapped, and John Cena, the star of the film, must go 12 rounds in the streets of New Orleans to get her back. Don't know exactly what that means. Interesting premise. Again, WWE Films saying that they are going to explore the option of going straight to DVD in the future. Makes a lot of sense. Disney does it. Warner does it. All the big name studios do it. So before you all start bashing about how WWE Films is not a success, it's a revenue stream. Even if it brings in a little bit of money, it makes some sense. We'll talk about how that relates to TNA.
As long as it gets in the green,
down in the news here. So that is the film. It is to be titled 12 Rounds, and it will star John Cena. Yep. Not slated to return to in-ring action until right around WrestleMania time, but we'll begin filming on this movie on February the 25th in New Orleans. Don't know the actual production schedule. I would assume the plan is to finish up all of the
action sequences,
filming elements of it before John Cena returns to the ring, so that once he's back, he is indeed back. And remember, back when The Rock was going and doing these movies, and even when John Cena did The Marine, he was gone for, I think, a total of 3 to 4 weeks. It wasn't very long that he was in Australia for the filming of that film. Keep in mind, too, folks, what does this mean for a Stone Cold Steve Austin, who's got a 3-picture deal with WWE Films? How does he feel about this situation?
Well,
John
I don't
Cena
think
being
that's
chosen?
I don't think that's an issue. I think Stone Cold has his own projects all lined up. I think this, between all the projects that are there, this wasn't one for Austin. And Austin probably already knows that. Austin probably already has his next couple pictures lined up.
Do you think John Cena was a good choice, or maybe should they have gone with the wrestling god?
No, John Cena is the choice because John Cena is their money.
That film, again,
You
slated
know
to be
it,
released
I know
September
it, the
5th,
American people know it.
2008.
Oh, and the people
John
in
Cena
Europe.
is the PWR Honors Wrestler of the Year, by the way.
Yeah, by the way, 2007 PWR Wrestlers Honor of the Year. I know I said that wrong.
You said
I'm
it
sorry.
all messed up. The
2008.
United States Congress has been busy, Meathead. Not talking about how much a gallon of milk is or how much gas prices
Or
are.
how many steroids are in, baseball, but they're talking about
How many steroids are in professional wrestling. They have set up an actual website, folks, for you, the humanoids, to go and confess any of your knowledge to steroid abuse in the professional wrestling industry. This is
Really?
where your money is going. This is where 25% in most cases of your income is going, is to pay
Fred
for
Thompson would have fixed
a
that.
$1 trillion war and this website that really, what's the point, Meathead? You heard through 15 other people that, at one point Kurt Angle may have used a substance that he shouldn't have, so you're going to go, ooh, I'm telling.
I'm just like those guys that Brother Ray and Brother Devon talk about, the guys that, hide behind their computers and, put little mark messages out there. I'm just like you and me, and yeah, I'm gonna light somebody up.
It should be to your delight that you can remain anonymous when submitting these submissions, if you will, on this website.
You're not anonymous because you give off an IP address.
Not sure what they're going to do with the information. It appears that there's one congressman who is very adamant about this and is pushing along this situation. On the same note, WWE rumored to only be testing for marijuana once a year, and TNA ramping up its efforts to start its formal drug testing program.
That's fine. I mean, I know you want me to give an opinion on it, but okay. On this program, you will not hear my stance on what I think about marijuana, but okay, whatever.
Let's talk about some WWE programming notes. Lots going on in the WWE production world right now. As you've heard, obviously, that the Raw and SmackDown programs will be going to broadcast in high definition.
SmackDown has been broadcast in high definition for a while, only on the television networks, the CW, that are carrying CW in HD.
WWE has actually, this past week, for the first time, used their HD equipment to shoot the
Correct.
show. You probably noticed a different look, slightly different look, to Raw, and less so SmackDown this week.
It was lit a little differently.
Exactly, and that's the thing with this HD conversion. In 2006 at the Mohegan Sun Arena, they did a SmackDown taping in HD to see what types of changes they would need to make to lighting, to set, to the atmosphere of the arena. It is a whole different situation. You look at any show that's gone HD so far, The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, The Today Show, they all had to get brand new sets and brand new looks because HD is a whole different environment. There are these rumors going around that Raw and SmackDown may indeed get a new set, whatever, that's fine. SmackDown's set is old and tired. I'm sick of the fist, even though the fist is cool. But it really doesn't make sense anymore. Yeah, that could happen, but, can we go on an internet rant?
Go.
Yeah.
And go.
There are several sites out there reporting that WWE is considering launching brand new sets for their conversion to to HD on Raw and SmackDown in 2 weeks. Folks, you simply, if you know a damn thing, you can't go from concept to development to execution of a brand new multi-million-dollar set in 2 weeks' time. It's
Not even if you're making the Star Trek WCW stage that opened up.
Which was a great set.
It was a great set. It didn't take 2 weeks.
Still using that fiber curtain as WWE on some of their pay-per-views that was behind that. But be that as it may, they're not thinking about it. Either they're going to do it or they're not going to do it. We don't know whether they are or not.
It's been an R&D forever.
Yeah. You take a look at last year's WrestleMania set, public information. It took them a year to conceptualize and build and develop it. Granted, it was 100 feet high by 300 feet wide. It was the largest set ever constructed by WWE. But that's my internet rant for the week.
And finish.
SmackDown gets more viewers than Raw, and specifically Raw Roulette. 2.9 versus 3.2. 3.2 was the Raw Roulette rating, and 2.9 was the SmackDown rating. Broadcast audience substantially higher than the cable audience, thus making SmackDown actually a more viewed show. So the argument that's out there is that SmackDown is the B show. SmackDown is viewed by less people, gets less focus on WWE by WWE, and the fans don't like it. Well, the fact of the matter is, more people in some cases, or the same amount of people in a lot of cases, are watching SmackDown. Meathead, very profound information, because so many people bash SmackDown, and so many people think about SmackDown as this little tape show back there. SmackDown should be live, blah, blah, blah,
You know
blah.
what was going on Monday, right?
What was going on Monday?
The national championship. A little football game.
Well, but keep in mind, this is not the first time this has happened.
Okay.
Raw's ratings have hovered in that area. SmackDown's been as high as a 2 point, as a 3, been as low as a 2.4, 2.5, 2.6. Generally, when you really look at it, soup to nuts.
And
they're
there
the
was
same
football.
audience.
And keep your nuts out of this. There
Sorry?
was football. There was. I was wondering, in studio. Never mind. There was.
We're testifying
football.
over in Studio
Yeah.
B. The people at home can't hear that because our mics are sensitive enough to screen it out. But
There was
concentrate,
football.
focus.
Yeah.
You're a broadcast journalist. You're a BJ.
There. That's not that funny. There was football. There was all that other stuff. So Raw's numbers are going to go back up a little bit. I mean, it's that that target audience. But SmackDown is a different show than Raw is, and the reason SmackDown's a different show is it's geared towards something else. It's geared towards a younger audience. It's a little more sensitive storylines. I mean, the last rugged storyline that they really had on SmackDown was Muhammad Hussein hanging the
And
Undertaker.
that transfer from Raw to SmackDown as a result of a draft
Yeah.
was the end of that angle because of UPN, I believe, at the time's
Yeah.
Objection to the sensitivity of the terror.
It
Because that
was
was when they were
because
bringing
of
the terrorists in.
But it was because of the terrorist bombing that had went off in somewhere in Europe. I think it was.
He's selling real estate or something of that nature. We've heard.
I miss
his
Muhammad
real name
Hussein.
escapes me.
Yeah.
The difference on SmackDown. SmackDown's a professional wrestling program.
Yeah.
There's so much more wrestling and matches and competition on SmackDown than there is on Raw. Raw is also more of obviously it's live. It's more of a fresh show. SmackDown's taped. They can a lot of the stuff. They pipe in some of the crowd noise. They edit a lot of stuff. Crowd noise, not chants. Crowd, if they have
I
the
never said
opportunity.
chants.
If they,
I never
no,
said
you're
chants.
comparing it to WCW doing it to
I
Goldberg.
didn't. No, I'm not.
That's what you're doing.
I'm
I know
not.
how your mind works.
No,
as
you
minimal
don't.
as it does, I know how your
No,
mind
you
works.
don't.
Wait a minute, back up. Beep, 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 beep.
They can also can some of the non-audience responses. And I believe, and this is just me being a conspiracy guy and me also being a Jericho guy, that somebody's deadening Jericho's crowd responses.
Oh my God! They can't do that on live. They can
Yes, they can.
control the audio. No, they're not.
Yes, they
What are
can.
You're conspiracy
Yes,
theorist.
they
You're wrong.
can.
You're
Yes,
wrong.
they
You're
can.
dead wrong. You can tell. They'll always look at the fans, folks. And
I
what
always
they're
look at
hearing
the fans,
doesn't match what they're doing. Something's a little different.
Right.
But I do agree to a degree
Thank you.
of what WWE is doing, which is if everybody's cheering for somebody who they think should be a heel and in their mind should be portrayed as a heel, put some booze in there, whatever. If people aren't necessarily getting cheered as much as they think that person should be
And they
getting
want
cheered,
them to be cheered?
exactly, because a lot of you are followers.
Because that is
And
what
if you see
WCW
that-
did with Goldberg.
Right.
They did.
Think of Calgary
pipe in.
Stampede. It was in your house, Calgary Stampede, or I think that was the name of it. 1997, the Hart Foundation, the Harts were the biggest heels in the company. They go up to Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and
Bravo.
do this pay-per-view. They are the national heroes. It seemed like it was like the Olympics and the hockey team in '81. The way they put over the Harts, the family
The
getting
hockey
in the
team
ring.
in 1981?
Wasn't it the Olympics when they won against Russia?
The Olympics are on even years, folks. You guys know this. This guy. 1980, Lake Placid.
I was on a roll.
Go.
The family comes in the ring. Oh, it's the greatest thing. It's the Hearts. Well, the next night, they were back to being heel again. The situation makes a lot of sense. That's why people are put over in their hometowns because it's like, oh, people like them. I'm going to cheer too.
Play the game. The game gives you bonus points for putting a wrestler in the main event from the hometown. I mean, WWE and the game goes to Milwaukee. Meathead, Candice, Kennedy, they all get in the main event somehow each time.
So in that regard, it is acceptable. Continued on the WWE programming notes, there is always the Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show, which comes in February, generally after pay-per-view, and WWE Raw moves to Sci-Fi or comes on later or comes on a different
I still
night.
don't understand
That's how we got Thursday Raw, Thursday Live, I believe, when Shawn
Yeah.
Michaels lost his smile.
Yeah. I still don't understand how. I do not understand how WWE can say, look, you brought us back. You're paying us on USA. We're not getting bumped for the puppy show, man. The puppy show can move.
The puppy show did move. It will move to CNBC, and Raw, for the first time in its history on USA, will not be bumped. So they did indeed leverage that and will not be bumped on the USA
Right here.
network.
There it is right there. Thank you, Meathead.
We've got a new broadcast team on SmackDown, Meathead.
Yeah.
Jonathan Coachman replaces JBL. He sits alongside Michael Cole. The dynamics of that team, now that we've had 2 weeks to digest it, in my opinion,
I haven't watched
you haven't watched it in 3. And you missed JBL's SmackDown farewell address? You heck.
It's JBL. I don't like JBL. I don't like him.
Coach isn't bad. Remember,
Coach isn't bad. I liked Coach when he was on Raw.
Exactly. Remember, he was part of the three-man booth on Raw when
That
JR
lasted for
first
about a
came
year.
out. Yeah. And, we got used to that. Coach got better. Coach did what he did. Remember, Coach was also with Shane O'Mac on Heat for a number of years.
And Coach was a broadcast journalist.
Kansas City, Missouri, indeed. And just like, actually, here's what you have different on Raw. Raw, you have a wrestling god, if you will, in commentary god. And Jim Ross, who really has, he's worked with the NFL and he's done some other sports things. And then you've got Jerry the King
He's never
Lawler.
called NFL games.
Not even when he was employed by the Atlanta Falcons as their play-by-play man?
No, he was not.
Oh, he wasn't?
Was
What
not
did he
their
do then?
play-by-play. He
What
was
did he
the
do?
studio guy.
Right. So okay,
That's not
sure.
a play-by-play.
He never called a game.
There's a
Are you saying
difference.
he never called
There's
a
a
game?
difference
Are you saying he
between
never called a game?
play-by-play.
He never called a
There's
game.
a difference between color commentary, and there's a difference between studio analyst.
He never called a game.
He never called an
All right,
NFL
fine.
game.
Sure, if you say so.
He called some donkey
You're
XFL
wrong.
game.
You're wrong, but if you say so, that's
He called some donkey
I'll let you-
FXL
Why are you
game.
still fighting this? Because I just conceded. I said, Hillary, you won New Hampshire. I said that.
Is the guy from Mortal Kombat still in the presidential race? Baraka? Some of them got paid.
And you got Jerry Lawler, who's a wrestler, and both do great. They're the best broadcast team in the business right now, according to you, the fans, because they are PWR Honors Best Broadcast Team of the Year.
I concede. Hillary.
Over on SmackDown, you've got a man who came from CBS News, who's been in Iraq and covered news over there, in Michael Cole.
Correct.
And then you've got you've got Jonathan Coachman, who came over from a television news outlet as a sportscaster in Kansas City. So you've got solid broadcast talent.
I have a problem with Coach being in a spot that he's in, though. I honestly think he should be a play-by-play. Again, I haven't heard him do color commentary with Michael Cole yet.
He's
But
decent.
I think he should be a play-by-play guy.
He's
Because,
decent.
in my opinion, and you'll see this in sports, and you'll see this actually in wrestling too. Look at JR and the King. The play-by-play guy is a professional play-by-play guy who's called college football, who's called crappy XFL football.
And the NFL. He has called
Now,
a game.
For the color commentator, you have a former wrestler, or you have a former athlete. That's who should be in the color spot, in my opinion.
10-4. That makes some sense. Got it.
Okay. But unlike the team of Dameon Nelson and the Meathead, I've only been in the ring one time. So that qualifies me.
I've gone through 2 tables by a powerbomb.
I'm not that bad at wrestling.
I was, laid up for 6 months after each of those. But be that as it may, let's go to the 3-count, Meathead.
Okay.
And obviously the 3-count is the 3 top names of professional wrestling that this week, not to be confused with our top 5, which we'll talk more about later.
Oh, boy.
But we start with TNA, Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, Meathead. Your top 3 talents, 1, 2, 3 being the top in the countdown.
Number 1 in my 3 count for TNA is going to ODB. One Dirty Biatch.
This past week's Impact, she said she was going to go out there and become the new TNA knocked up champion.
I'd knock her up.
Oh my Lord.
I know that you guys think she's a little beastly.
She's not at all beastly.
She's not.
She's been on this very program.
I have stood toe-to-toe with her. She's a nice...
I'm not sure you can stand toe-to-toe with her.
Well, I was side
out by her
side.
breasts.
Yeah. She's a nice girl.
She's really nice.
She's very nice.
And a great performer. Great athlete.
Yeah.
Great gimmick. All in all,
but
all in
it's
all,
gimmick,
one of the top
folks.
females.
That's just a gimmick. Get
With
to
the
know
flask.
Oh, my God. I like a drunk girl.
Of course you do. That's the only ones you can get.
No, I get more. Number 1 on my 3 count.
ODB.
Yep. Number 2 on the 3 count. Christian.
At last, he's on his own.
At last, he is turning face.
Final resolution.
Yeah.
Well, that pretty much got solidified when AJ Styles turned his back on Christian Cage.
Even though he came into TNA as a face and teamed up with Sting a few times. And number 3, in my 3 count for TNA, will go to... I can't believe I'm going to do it. 2 girls in the 3 count. The new women's champion, Awesome Kong.
You know, I got to say...
You know what's awesome is she didn't fall out of her gimmick again, so I didn't have to see the milk duds and the whoppers.
TNA has done an amazing job
with
their
women's
division.
Wow.
When you look at, I don't think it was in existence a year ago, to be honest with you. You look at Miss Brooks, you look at ODB.
Miss Brooks doesn't even get in there and wrestle yet.
You look at Shelly Ariel Martinez, who
looks better.
With LAX, which was great as well. And I'm sorry, Mr. Tenay and Mr. West, I think we knew it was a girl.
Yeah.
Yes, the shirt was baggy, as Don West said, which was actually very funny. That was a very baggy shirt.
Because she's holding some twins upstairs.
But yeah, it was quite obvious it was a girl. But well delivered. LAX could be, I don't mean that, no, you're done. But LAX, remember, when they were with Conan, red hot. One of the biggest things in TNA. Lost their mouthpiece. Went sort of into the shadows, still performed amazingly. Homicide needing to get some surgery, I believe. Either Homicide or Hernandez needing to get shoulder work done, so might be taking some time off. But now, potentially a mouthpiece and somebody to stop. Somebody to really put them over.
I'm not going there. She could put them over, but on the microphone, did you hear her on ECW? The looks will put it over. Maybe the angry Latina girl could put it over. You know which 2 girls haven't even made the 3 count yet? I haven't even mentioned once. Velvet Sky and Angelina Love. I believe I got their names wrong. But gorgeous, and they can wrestle. We haven't even got to them yet.
Great.
Roxy LeBeau.
TNA knocked up division.
Roxy LeBeau can work. Fantastic. That's something that TNA has done that WWE wasn't doing. And that's the path that Frank will tell you. That's the path they need to go. What is WWE not doing? And have them do it and do it better.
All but 1 or 2 of the females in the TNA knockout division are female wrestlers.
Christy's not a wrestler, but she's learning.
All but 1 or 2 in the WWE Divas division
are divas.
And not wrestlers. There's your difference right there.
Right.
I mean, and it's a profound difference.
I mean, because the only 2 wrestlers, really, 3... You've got Victoria, you've got Mickey, and you've got Beth Phoenix. Wrestlers.
Black Machismo, Jay Lethal, did a promo. As, you know, talking about Wendy Richter and Cyndi Lauper. It's just classic. Because it was bizarre, but again, very smart the way TNA did it on Impact last week. Getting comments from all the stars, including Kurt Angle, as to their thoughts of what was a phenomenal next night match from Awesome Kong and Gail Kim. But just great job, but Jay Lethal, just very funny, very funny.
He is, but the guy's a champion, and he doesn't even have his belt, dude. How long is that going to go on? It's stupid.
Let's go now to the top 3.
Are you not going to do your 3 for TNA?
Number 1, ladies and gentlemen, is the Maple Leaf Muscle, Petey Williams.
Yeah, liking it. Yeah, do it. Yeah,
Number 2 is Mr. Robert Roode, who knocked Charmel the blank out.
It pays to be rude.
At the pay-per-view this past Sunday, and we saw the ramifications of that coming down the wire. Mr. Robert Roode.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Absolutely great. Absolutely great. And that's another true success story of somebody who's just stepped up and taken their spot in the top of TNA. And the top spot this week in TNA, the 3rd count, if you will, the finisher, Team 3D. No tag team in the history of professional wrestling. I would venture to say no single performer as Bubba Ray has been as intimidating as Team 3D can be.
I'll go with that. I'll go with you on that one. Team 3D, and I'd say the Fat as in a joking thing, because they play along with it too. Get me the ding-dongs and the Yoo-hoo. Not the new Yoo-hoo, but the old original recipe. I'll play along with that. The thing with Team 3D is they are truly a team. And that's something that WWE doesn't do. WWE craps all over their tag teams. Real tag teams, they break them up, they disband them, they feud, and then they're gone. And then they just mix together some tag teams. TNA has real tag teams.
When you talk about tag teams, it's the Road Warriors. It's Demolition, Axe and Smash, No Crush. It's the Rock and Roll Express.
It's the New Age Outlaws. To an extent.
It's the Midnight Express.
Come on. I'm not talking in any particular
And
order.
it's the Dudley Boys. Really? If you had to do your top 5 tag teams, you talk about the tag teams that pop into your head of, call it from the 80s through now, not talking about, Dick the Bruiser and the Crusher and whatnot, and the great tag teams of the past. Those are your 5 teams. And that really shows where they are as far as that goes. Petey Williams, Robert Roode, and Team 3D, my TNA top 3. Meathead, now let's roll into World Wrestling Entertainment. Let's talk about 3 top names, as far as you're concerned, this week from that organization.
Number 1 in my 3 count is going to go to, somebody that I didn't think I was going to like. And you know what? I seen him on screen with Santino Marella. I'm actually amused by Hornswoggle this week.
Horny.
Yeah. But Santino carried the whole segment. Yeah, why don't we get control here? Make it a 6-man. Yeah, I don't think so. Hornswoggle, number 1 on the 3 count. Number 2 on the 3 count is going to, again, 2 females in my 3 count.
Sorry.
Number 2 goes out to a returning and a little bit sexier Ashley. I had a
First
filthy
diva ever, I think, to get pyro. Aside from Alundra Blaze.
Right. I had a little dirty feeling inside when I looked at her. It was okay. It was dirty. And number 3, my God, man, she had pigtails on, dude. She had pigtails on. Mickey James, good God Almighty! I honestly, in my house by myself, watching wrestling, said, "Oh my God!" Oh, Mickey James.
Talk about divas, you know what's coming soon. It's a big return. Coming up very soon at the WWE Raw.
Is she gonna be licking Jerry's feet?
Stop
What?
it.
What?
Okay? Just because you've seen those pictures.
And those movies of her face.
Fridays After Dark.
You're in WWE.
Starting at the bottom, moving into the top, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have to say the number 1 spot goes to Edge. Because it's so obvious to everybody else that there will come the day where he's going to kick Vicky to the curb and have gotten what he needed out of her. And I like, again, I said it's a very compelling story.
Is she wearing sleeves over there?
She is indeed wearing sleeves. Her hair is now a different color, and she's actually, she's pretty good with her delivery. And she hopes to one day be delivering Edge's child, is what we recently found out on SmackDown.
Oh, I can understand all the flesh just flopping around and... Number 2.
Number 2 is none other than Jeff Hardy, a man who has amazingly stepped up his game, especially in his non-wrestling skills category. It's leading up to this Royal Rumble matchup where he faces Orton for the championship. We'll preview the Royal Rumble coming up in just a little while here.
I can't say anything.
And number 1, ladies and gentlemen,
Uh-oh.
is the man who made his triumphant return to WWE Raw on New Year's Eve.
With 5 hours of pyro.
A man who got what is by and far the grandest entrance in the history of World Wrestling Entertainment, even surpassing those of The Undertaker.
Dameon. And they answered the question of what's going to happen when it's time for the limo.
They just took the stage away. This is how big this star is.
The guy pulled the stage back.
You're not supposed to see that. You're not supposed to see that. It's supposed to be like automatic magic. His name is the Wrestling God, JBL, who cut an amazing promo, who had, again, an absolutely insanely unnecessary entrance with balloons, streamers, the most pyro I've ever seen in a WWE event. And
every time a fist went up,
he didn't say a word. There was so much said with the silence during that angle. Silence not only by JR and the King, but silence by JBL until he wanted to speak. Folks, respect him if you want. Disrespect him if you want. But look at the fact that this man was indeed, whether you want to take semantics and look at when he was on Raw for a week or two, was the longest reigning SmackDown champion ever. So in the last 10 years, he's been the man who's held the belt the longest ever, 10 months, I think. Those type reigns, aside from what John Cena has accomplished lately, are unheard of in this day and age. Hogan, last one really to carry a belt that long, I think 84 to 88 he had it. JBL says he is a wrestling god. He is over, and he was so solidified as being over by that entrance where, I mean, it was a spectacular event. That's our 3 count, ladies and gentlemen. And remember, you can catch all of that on the rankings page, a new addition to PWRshow.com.
Boy.
And you can also check out the return of PWR viral video, which is also on
I thought
more
you were
targeted.
segueing.
I wasn't. More targeted and more wrestling related is now that PWR viral video. Meathead, rumors are abound that Hulk Hogan will be a part of WrestleMania 24 at the Citrus Bowl in Orlando, Florida. Well, here's the thing. American Gladiators, successful in the ratings. Less viewers than the XFL debut, by the way. But successful in the ratings. Has been picked up for a full season by NBC.
Okay.
And remember, that whole marriage, NBC Universal, USA Network, Sci-Fi, CNBC, whatever,
Yeah.
all one big happy family.
It's a family.
USA sees success when WWE sees success, when Hogan sees success, when American Gladiators see success. It's all a cross-branded strategy to
It's a synergy.
get more viewers. It makes a lot of sense. Hogan also
I'm not
said
against it.
to be able to get more of a payday from WWE and or NBC because obviously his star power has just gone up substantially. Keep in mind, Hogan Knows Best, the ratings winner for VH1, one of the highest rated shows. I don't know if it's better than or beat I Love New York or not, but just saying.
Can I tell you I don't watch any shows on VH1?
You just told us, but I'm not sure we care. Hogan lives in Florida. I don't remember if it's Tampa or Miami.
Call
I know it's
White
somewhere else. I'm sorry?
You heard me.
And it's, like I said to be in talks as part of the event. I did not get a chance, nor have I had a chance to take a look at American Gladiators, but several several former or current professional wrestlers are gladiators. I just wish Nitro was back, not the show. Nitro and Jazz, gladiators of old.
I remember.
Is there still an Eliminator at the
Pyro and Gyro?
Don't remember them so much.
Okay.
And you know Mike Adamle is on television. Adamle.
Adamle. There's no M in there.
There is. Here's the 2 parts where you're wrong. JR's called an NFL game. And much like Mike Adamle, who was part of the XFL, is on a television affiliate in Chicago, which is just south of us here.
That's okay. Mike was
one of the original hosts, along with Larry Zonka, of the original American Gladiators, which you can still see, along with now the UWF on ESPN Classic.
Ooh. Larry Zonka is one of those crybabies from the Miami Dolphins that say, well, we were undefeated first.
Maria's going to be in a magazine.
Ooh, and you know Maria's pillows are all natural. Did you catch that one?
I caught it.
Yeah.
Rumored to be in a March or April edition of a certain magazine that apparently has some very good articles in it.
Cartoons.
But also has several pictures, of which is one of them is a centerfold. That magazine being Playboy Magazine, Maria. There she goes again.
There she goes again, and her towel fell off.
We see many divas who have graced the cover of Playboy Magazine. Remember Sable, when she was first on the cover, I believe that was her top-selling issue ever.
Right.
We've
China
seen so many people.
Sable twice.
Tori Wilson, I
Ashley.
believe.
Tori twice. Ashley. Mickey, you're next, baby. You are
This
next.
goes out to our viewers in Canada and the United Kingdom. There's been a merging of sorts of 2 great networks. Fight Network has acquired the Wrestling Channel. The Wrestling Channel in the United Kingdom. The Fight Network up out of Canada, which also airs the LAW, Live Audio Wrestling audio show. Obviously, live audio wrestling.
No, it's just a picture of a guy on a phone.
So Fight Network will be expanding and taking over the efforts of the Wrestling Channel across the pond. Again, also airing several UFC-based shows. If you haven't been to their site, go ahead and click through pwrshow.com, get on over to the Fight Network, and take a look at what they have to offer nowadays. A point that Meathead alluded to earlier, which was Senshi, who was done with TNA for all intents and purposes and was fired and lost that case in that match. Still around, though. Well, the last week edition of Impact is the last time we're going to see Senshi for a little while on TNA, as he agreed to stick around after asking for his release to help put over some of the other stars.
Yeah, because he got jobbed out.
I don't know if you saw, but Senshi, an amazing performer. And you know, really, in his last match with TNA, showed how amazing he is with that cartwheel kick.
And he being in the ring gets over primetime a little bit more, because that means that's a reason to get primetime on the show.
Senshi, an amazing talent. Don't know if he's going to go back to, I believe he was low-key before TNA, but if you get a chance to see him, maybe we'll get the privilege of seeing him in Ring of Honor, and we'll talk about Ring of Honor tour dates and when they're coming to our area in the next few minutes here. Stacked show, as I said.
Yeah. Keep going.
Well, let's keep going. Let's talk about the rankings. We talked about the rankings earlier. We did our 3 count. Well, we have, ladies and gentlemen,
I am
a
doing this show
modification
under protest.
We have an update to the top 5. We said several weeks back that the top 5 was solid, it was standard, it was the top 5 names in the business, period. Well,
and then don't finish what you said, because he also said that this top 5 cannot be changed unless Frank, Dameon, and Meathead are all in a show at once.
What
exactly.
You interpreted that differently.
The shows are online.
Fine, we're calling Frank right now. Frank Cosentino, we're calling him. F. Keep on talking while I look this up. Since you want to be such a
again,
jerk,
Team Donkey here, Team Donkey, and when I use the phrase donkey, it's also in reference to the Democratic Party. Team Donkey here likes to bend the rules. They'll tell you about how Team Elephant always, we better charge everybody for all these wars and all this. Apparently, Frank has the ring of fire.
We're calling Frank.
Yeah,
we're gonna get him
He's
on.
not gonna answer.
Is Frank on the phone?
Frank's in meetings all day.
We gotta put that on.
But
Frank Cosentino, it's Dameon Nelson.
Frank Cosentino,
Frank is live. No, we're taping. We're right here. We're on the show. Do you have a minute to answer a very important question? Frank, I would like to ask your permission to make a slight modification to the top 5. Meathead is saying that we can't do it
because you're
without
not here.
Being here, but in essence, through the wonders of communication, Frank is here with us right now.
Frank, this is the draft. This is the debate all over again. Frank, the rule was that unless all 3 of us are on the site, on the show,
Frank, right
at
here.
the table, no top 5 can be modified. Frank, we need a ruling.
Okay, this is the top 5, not 3 counter.
Right, the top 5, the one that we only change when all 3 of us
and
are
I will
present in the
admit,
same
because
room.
I am a Democrat, I'll admit that I said that you had to approve and you had to be here, whether in spirit or in physicality,
you need to be
to
here
make
physically.
the approval to any changes. I simply need to make one replacement, one rotation, one bump, one addition to my top 5.
I'm always, as being an independent, I am always looking towards change. As long as it's good for the viewers.
Stop! We can't hear Frank. So, Frank, then with that being said, what is your ruling?
You want to make one slight modification to it?
I would like to make one change to my top 5.
And will that enhance or improve viewer interest?
It will enhance viewer interest because it is a strategic move in adding this person to my top 5. It allows for more entertaining future episodes of the Pro Wrestling Report.
And I'm all for it.
Frank, you're fired.
Frank has approved it again!
Frank, you're
Again!
fired. Not only, Frank, are you not allowed on PWRshow.com, PWR, the show on Channel 14, you're fired from radio.
Frank, thanks for picking up. I'm so glad we're able to reach you. Enjoy your time in Wisconsin Dells.
Thank you.
And we will see you as we present the next episode here of the show. Or we'll just call you again.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Frank. So long. Say bye to Frank, everybody. You, my friend, again. See, you set yourself up for these things. You haven't realized in 10 years, that was 15, 10 years, that I will win. Okay?
This is your first win, by the way. You have finally,
Ladies and gentlemen,
finally won again.
I am pleased to announce that there will be a modification to my top 5 list. We are removing one athlete from my top 5 list.
And I like the term athlete.
That athlete in the sport of professional wrestling
Oh, let's see, you ruined it right there.
is Shelton Benjamin. Sorry,
Shelton was number 2. Don't poke me in the eye.
Sorry.
Shelton was number 2 on Damien's list. Now completely removed, bumped off.
Shelton
Has
removed
moved to
from number
6.
2. However, 3,
However.
4, and 5 advanced to 2, 3, and 4, and we have a new number 5 on my top 5, ladies and gentlemen.
And here it comes.
I am pleased to add a man who appeared on my 3 count this week to my top 5. He is one of the most celebrated superstars in the history of sports entertainment. He is the longest reigning champion in SmackDown history. He is a man that I will now be able to mark out for each and every week on this program. He is a wrestling god. JBL, number 5 on my top 5, replacing Shelton Benjamin, moving everybody else up one step.
Okay.
It's
okay.
Now you're going to sit there and pout, huh?
No, this is me.
Tick tock, tick tock. We're almost
I'm
out
not
of
the
time
one
here.
running the show.
Oh, but you're the one making me call Frank to get permission for something that I knew I could get permission to do. That was a good 3 minutes right there.
I do run the show.
Right. The WWE is going to be releasing a Sting DVD.
They have the right to.
They do have the right to. They own the footage. And also a Randy Macho Man Savage DVD, which could be very, very interesting because when you go back to some of the greatest moments, especially in the Mega Powers and the Mega Powers explosion, some great stuff with Elizabeth.
Ask Jay Lethal.
Macho Man Randy Savage, Sensational Queen Sherry. I still remember WrestleMania 7 because it was unheard of at the time. Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum was to have been the biggest WrestleMania of all time at the Los Angeles, the outdoor Coliseum where the Olympics were, where Sherry was in the ring and attacking, I believe, Macho Man, and Elizabeth hopped the rail and came in and saved. And Elizabeth hadn't shown a bit of physicality or a bit of spirit in that regard up until that point, and then the embrace and the magical moment of the Macho Man and Elizabeth reunion, leading to SummerSlam, where we saw
A wedding.
a match made in heaven,
Yeah.
and a match made in hell.
Yeah.
Sting has allegedly signed a new one-year deal with TNA where they will use him as needed, and we'll just keep him on the books. Here's the question I'd like to ask all of you watching at home, and you too, Meathead. We haven't seen Sting in quite a while on TNA programming.
Correct.
Do you miss him?
Not really. Do you miss Jeff Jarrett?
No. I mean, and that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing at all. I'm not knocking Sting. I'm not knocking Jeff Jarrett. But TNA has so much else going on and so many other talents to feature that I'm not sure I need Sting.
Save him for a pop.
However, exactly. However, it is believed, some say by Spike TV, some say by TNA, that they need those big names, if you will, Scott Steiner, Kevin Nash, Kurt Angle, Booker T, Sting, to resonate with viewers and gain new viewers. Now, keep in mind, TNA Impact is beating ECW in the ratings week after week. While it's close, it's still beating them. I'm not sure if that's still the direction they need to go in, especially, again, ask yourselves that question, fans. Do you miss them? Did you notice we haven't seen them featured prominently on the program?
And the same with Jeff Jarrett. I mean, Jeff Jarrett's, I think, right at the same time now. Jeff Jarrett's working backstage. Obviously.
We will see Jeff Jarrett on Global Impact coming up
Right.
this Thursday, which is a huge deal for TNA, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Get an extra hour on Thursday night. Went over to Japan in front of a huge crowd. That deal is twofold, as New Japan Pro Wrestling will be sending some people over to attend the next set of TNA Impact tapings.
And also, I mean, it kind of matches up because Tomko is also a tag champion out in Japan with, what's his name out there? I mean, it was Albert here. It was, the big hairy shave your back guy. And I forget what his name is in Japan.
Speaking of TNA, we've seen some information released on their buy rate information for their pay-per-views, folks. Information not confirmed at this time. However, on average in 2007, they did about 27,500 buys for their pay-per-views. Now, comparatively speaking, you want to look at WWE, it's said to be a disappointment when they do just between 200 and 250,000 buys. So we're talking about a huge gap here, but we're also talking about a huge amount of revenue that TNA is still generating. When you look at if, on average, they did 27,500 buys, that's just under $825,000 that they brought in. Now, keep in mind, they don't keep all that money. There's a lot that has to go into production or whatnot, but they're not necessarily going on the road so much, unless you're talking about the event coming up against all odds in South Carolina, where ticket sales are said to be weak. Again, not confirmed. But that's still $10 million annually that they're bringing in pay-per-view revenues. That's nothing to sneeze at. Many people squawked at the fact that WWE is adding pay-per-views. Well, if they can do 200,000 buys at $39.95 and bring in several $1 million in a 3-hour period, then why wouldn't they? People are still buying them. TNA still seeing buys for their pay-per-views. Their two biggest bought pay-per-views were Destination X and Bound for Glory in 2007, if these numbers are accurate.
Yeah, and the one thing, to go back on WWE in HD, the one thing I wondered is what happened to TNA in HD?
They were, exactly. A lot of people forget that. They were the first wrestling company to go HD a long time ago. And I do like what TNA is doing. Their television show, folks, if you haven't given them a chance, their television show has advanced so dramatically in the last 6 months that it's almost unrecognizable. It is intriguing. It is destination television. They are doing some substantially different things. Whereas when they're doing promos and talking about wrestlers coming up or referring to wrestlers, they're using film footage, which really elevates their game. The entrances now and I think this was a trick in editing that they used, but by the way, it works. Their entrances now, they're using the video of the wrestler for the first few seconds of the entrance, all definitively different stuff that they're doing to make themselves a different company.
Another thing that kind of, it's a little weird, the fact that they do that, it's kind of the same thing for each entrance, by the way. I mean, you see the little video, but the titling of the episodes, you get the big voice guy.
Yeah, it's
a storytelling. And one other thing I want to mention about TNA is this year, when Raw is not preempted, did TNA have plans to maybe air something?
It's a good question. Very good question. Let's go to Match of the Week, Meathead.
Okay.
Match of the Week this week comes from TNA Impact. Actually, it was a tag team match, and it was one we referenced earlier. Senshi teaming up with Elix Skipper. Is he still primetime? Or is he
Primetime, baby!
Primetime Elix Skipper going up against the Motor City Machine Guns, made up of Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley. And Match of the Week.
Great music, too, by the way.
Match of the Week, indeed. Close was the match with Petey Williams and Team 3D, but and I'm not even sure that was the match, but Scott Steiner came out, exchanged briefcases, Petey walked out, and disqualified it. But that is your match of the week, ladies and gentlemen. Senshi and Elix Skipper going against the Motor City Machine Guns. Let's talk about Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor is doing a pretty aggressive tour schedule coming up.
Is there any Ring of Honor in there today?
I think there's Ring of Honor in here today. The tour schedule for Ring of Honor coming up on January 25th. They're going to be in Dayton, Ohio, the Montgomery County Fairgrounds. And then coming to our area, Meathead, again, we'll be at the show in Chicago Ridge on January 26th. When the Ring of Honor promotion returns to Chicago Ridge, headlining that show, Nigel McGuinness versus Roderick Strong, which is worth the price of admission, no matter what that price is, ladies and gentlemen. That is January 26th, Chicago Ridge, Ring of Honor. You can go to ringofhonorwrestling.com to get more information.
It's not like you'll be watching football. That's the off week.
Exactly. And also, the Ring of Honor promotion, following the trend of the last 2 years, following WrestleMania, will be in Orlando, Florida, March 28th and 29th, the weekend before WrestleMania, downtown Orlando, Ring of Honor, I believe, their first trip to Central Florida. If you haven't gotten a chance to take a look at Ring of Honor live, do it. Do it. Do it.
I've watched the ladder match from Man Up.
It's absolutely an amazing promotion. Meathead, let's talk about the Royal Rumble coming up in 2 weeks on pay-per-view.
Let's get ready to... Oh, I thought you were going to kick me.
You can catch that countdown on pwrshow.com.
Did they pay Buffer for that?
I sure they did.
I mean, is Buffer going to be at the Royal Rumble?
Another internet rant?
Go. Quickly.
No, that wasn't a depiction or a type of throw to Chris Benoit being thrown out the window. God, a lot of you people have a lot of free time.
And stop. Royal Rumble.
Rey Mysterio will take on Edge for the World Heavyweight Championship. Rey Mysterio, a contender for the SmackDown title. Remember, it was the Royal Rumble that he won going into WrestleMania to become the champion.
This is what they call. This is what they call a segue. This is what they call a transitional match. Just like, unfortunately, boys and girls, as we're about to go into this next match.
Stop. That's not next. We talked about last time we were on this program that the Royal Rumble is where you do those experiments, if you will.
Yes.
The main is the Rumble, which is at 90 seconds, by the way. It should be 2 minutes, but...
And by the way, try counting 90 seconds. It's not 90 seconds.
And what do we miss about the Rumble? The Fink laying out the rules and then saying, and now let us all find out who drew number one.
But honestly,
remember the year was Axe and Smash?
Yeah. But honestly, it doesn't matter if you draw one or two because you start in the match.
Well, yeah, but whoever hit number one is at a distinct disadvantage.
To number two?
If you haven't had a chance, folks, I think one of the greatest Royal Rumbles in history was the Royal Rumble 1992, which was the Rumble that Flair won the title in.
Yes.
Flair was number 2 or 3 entry. Heenan was on the stick along with Monsoon.
In the back?
Eventually, after in Flair cut, one of the most amazing promos with Perfect and Heenan and Flair in the back after winning. Again, the Royal Rumble is available out on DVD, I believe, the whole thing now.
Every Rumble?
I believe the full set is now available, the complete anthology. 1992 Royal Rumble. Great. Don't watch the 95 Rumble if you do anything. That was a 1 minute Rumble.
The only Rumble that I liked, actually, was the Vince McMahon
99
Rumble.
That was
the Rumble that was coded No Chance in Hell.
Austin with the post-it note in the back. But anyways, time's a ticking. MVP will go up against Ric Flair. Career is on the line as Montel Vontavious Porter tries to end the career of Ric Flair.
Flair does not lose.
Jericho will take on the Wrestling God, top 5 member JBL, in a grudge match.
It'll be a decent match, and it's not going to end there.
JBL's going to take Jericho back to school in that matchup. The WWE Championship is on the line as Jeff Hardy challenges the champion, Randy Orton, no longer the Legend Killer, but the standard bearer in WWE.
Randy Orton will not lose his belt. I'm sorry, folks. This, as Dameon just mentioned, is a experimental match. Jeff Hardy, I don't have anything bad to say about Jeff Hardy, but he will not win the belt at this match.
Here's what you think about, folks. We've got the road bump to WrestleMania, No Way Out, where we know there will be an Elimination Chamber match. It's been advertised in the Las Vegas market. Whoever doesn't win the Rumble, they will get the opportunity against the other
Hardy
people
will be
for
one
that
of the
championship
people in this.
to be battling for the other belt. So the theory is whoever walks out of the Rumble with the world title, the WWE Championship or the World Championship, is going to be going all the way to WrestleMania. So I think it can be Hardy. I think that if in Las Vegas, Nevada, you have Jeff Hardy pin Orton for that title, you've solidified Hardy in the top of the card. You've made a long-term commitment, and whether even if you take it away from a month from that,
That's not going to happen.
Oh, you don't know. You don't.
Orton will go to WrestleMania as champion. Edge will go to WrestleMania as champion.
In your opinion, let's go to the Royal Rumble. Who would win? We don't know. There is no clear person who will win the Rumble this year. We see Undertaker's in it, Batista's in it, Triple H is not in it. Triple H not in a match yet, by the way. Oh, what's up?
The winner of the Royal Rumble.
Jimmy Hart?
He won the Money in the Bank last year. He's going to win the Rumble this year. He's already defeated Shawn Michaels 2 weeks in a row. His name is Mr. Kennedy! Kennedy!
There's your winner right there.
What? Go. I ain't predicting nobody. Fine. Ladies and gentlemen, that is this week's edition of the Pro Wrestling Report.
Kennedy!
Here, folks. We'll see you in 2 weeks with a brand new edition of this very program. Until then, in the meantime, in the in-between time, take care of yourselves and each other. Good night, America.